I've never had that problem. I've always had the chubby jaw. The chubby jaw, like look like I'm hoarding, like I'm a chipmunk. It's all cheeks and a weak chin.
Oh, but everybody wants to come up and go, no,
Right?
Marty.
Yeah, and poke me in the belly.
Oh yeah, my kids love to do that to me.
Yeah.
Daddy, you're so fat.
Oh yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You're fat.
Extra cushion.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Surf Prep Sanding. They're a family-owned and operated company specializing in sanders, abrasives, and dust extractors. I've been using Surf Prep now for years and have come to know the amazing people behind their brand. I love their 6-inch random orbital sander and the 3x4 sander the best, and they have helped me level up my sanding to get a great finish for my projects. Use code MAKERLOUNGE, all one word, at surfprepsanding.com for 10% off your order.
And when you use that code Maker Lounge, all one word, for 10% off, it helps me stock the mini fridge in the lounge. If you want to join there you go. If you want to join the Maker Lounge podcast community, head over to patreon.com/Maker Lounge podcast and get these episodes early. Hey guys, welcome to the lounge. I'm Matt with Voltner Woodworking and your host of the Maker Lounge podcast, where all of my guests are paid handsomely in compliments to get them on the show.
I didn't get my compliments yet. I'm still waiting.
We'll work on that.
Okay, I'm waiting.
This Navy vet is now a full-time vision care teacher and a part-time/full-time woodworker. He's a jig master, and I'm not just talking about his dancing skills.
Although those are good too.
From book stands and signs to cabinets and tables, this guy has about as many projects under his belt as he does Instagram followers. Logan Newman with Newmans Specials Woodwork is here.
Nice. I don't know about that many followers, but
but at least 129,000 projects.
Yes, definitely. If you're counting back to when I started as a small child building blocks, can we count those?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you've got to put in the time, right?
Right. Well, that's where I started. I remember back to that first tower of blocks that fell on my head, and from then on, people always said I was special.
So that's where the Newmans Specials come from?
Yeah, no, that's actually a completely different story. All right. So ready for this? I will tell you this because this always makes me laugh. I've told it a couple of times on my page. So I had a desk when I got out of college. So my story is convoluted. I was in the Navy out of high school. I left the Navy and went to college. From college, I went back home to live with my parents and go back to college. So that's where I got my teaching certification. So here I am, 26 years old, moving into my parents' house. So I had to do some stuff to sort of update my bedroom so that I could, have my own space. And I made a desk that actually I was like a laminated metal leg, crappy desk. And then I made a printer stand, and off to the side, I made like this other portion of it that went over a tote so that I could get all this space. And when I moved up to where I live now, Rochester, and I moved in with my roommate, who is now my wife, I had this desk and I brought it up with me. And when we moved into our first house, I had a friend come over and he looked at my Franken desk and he goes, "What the hell is that? Is that a Newmans Special?" So it was very funny. And then we went into the new house and it had 2x4s for handrails going down to the basement. There's more Newmans Specials. What the hell is this? So when I started building stuff and people started buying it, I was like, I got to come up with a name for tax purposes. I don't know. I didn't want to call it like Logan Newman. And, I don't know. I did not have the confidence in my ability to name it sort of as much after me. So I was like, I'll just call it Newmans Specials because I started out building crap and now people are buying stuff.
Right.
And then it just got too late to change it.
Has anybody ordered the Franken desk?
No, thankfully I've been looking for pictures of that. Like I really want to, I had those bookshelves, that, you do the cinder blocks and then some pine boards. Those were my bookshelves from the time I was in the Navy oh God, through college. I had those forever. Yeah. And when I moved up with my roommate, who, like I said, my wife, I had those up there too, and that was probably the second worst thing. And that's the only thing I've found a picture of from that time.
Oh wow! So when she moved in, did she say like, I think we need to update the, or was that after marriage? Did she say, I think it's time to upgrade the bachelor pad here?
No, but she did mention when we moved that we should just leave the desk where it was.
I mean, it's heavy, right? You know, that was probably, it's heavy. We should probably just leave it.
Yeah. She really pushed to leave a lot of that stuff. But listen, you know, and I started off with a little Black & Decker, one of those little kits. I had the handheld cordless saw that I think, you know, I had to turn a 2x4 over to be able to cut it in half.
Yeah.
It was just, you know, a bunch of crap. So she didn't really complain because I was building stuff that we didn't have to pay for.
Yeah. Well, that's smart. I mean, my wife, we'd walk around and, well, she complimented my house when we first met. She came over because I vacuumed in a pattern. You know, I did all the, I mean, my house looked
I've heard
great.
You talk about, talk about you were a little, you like to keep your house very neat.
Yeah. Well, now it's the complete opposite. I'm a train wreck because I'm going from thing to thing now. So I'll come in, I've got my corner, my stack of boxes. I've got my shipping department. Yeah.
Mine's on top of the cooler in the basement.
Yeah.
That's my shipping department.
Yeah. How's the shop? You able to keep your shop pretty clean?
Listen, I got to tell you, I really appreciate the podcast for more reasons than just being able to sit here and talk to you. Like, this is very exciting. The other thing was, I said to my wife, yeah, I got to go clean the shop. I'm going to be on a podcast. He puts it up on YouTube. I cannot have the mess that's in there right now.
It's a nice backdrop.
Yeah. It's clean. I mean,
don't turn the camera around, right?
Well, yeah. On the other side of me is all the wood storage.
Yeah.
And this is part of where I build stuff. So, the wood storage is a bit of a mess because all the scraps keep building up, and then I got pieces of stuff. I'm like, well, I don't want to get rid of that because I really like that piece. And I mean, they're like, so at one point I made my wife, a rise, you know, what do you call those? A sit-stand desk.
Okay.
And I was able to make it from 2 scraps of a table build that I had. So I gave her a 20-inch wide, you know, 50-inch long desk from scraps.
Right. Wow.
So it's, you know, yeah. So, I mean, I got to keep them and use them.
Right.
But they do tend to build up over here. And that's on that side.
How'd you do the mechanism did you buy like the mechanism or did you make the mechanism for that?
So it was interesting because it was during COVID. My wife's job was now at home and she was working at a table and she's got a really bad back. So sitting for long periods of time is just no for her. So at the same point, Flexi Spot, you know what I think that's the name of it, reached out to me and they said, hey, would you like to do a desk build? We'd like to, you know, would you like the mechanism? I said, absolutely. Perfect timing. Thank you.
That's great. So, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yes. Hannibal Lecter.
the other Hannibal.
What was his? God, now I can't think of it.
It was just Hannibal, right?
Oh God, I love that show.
Yeah.
See, I grew up watching the original one.
Oh yeah. Same here. Yeah. We're probably about the same age, I think.
I just turned 50.
Okay. I'm slightly younger. I'm 43.
Yeah, slightly.
So maybe maybe it was the original to me, but maybe it wasn't the original. I mean, I was a little kid.
Yeah. You remember what it was like back then? You were like Thursday nights. You all gather around, the TV comes on and eat. Like, oh yeah, we're all sitting around watching TV.
Yeah. Well, and then coming home from school, watching Price is Right, or calling in, or not calling in sick, but faking sick because you wanted to watch Price is Right and everything during the day.
My best friend had cable. We had the mechanism where you turn the knob and then you could hear the antenna on the roof turn, right? So every day not every day, but as much as we could after school, we went to his house to watch 2 shows, Batman and Robin reruns.
Yeah.
Or the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yep. That's great.
Just a good old boys. Right? Can never forget that.
Is that Roscoe Pico?
Cold tree. Oh my God, yes.
Taking me back.
Boss Hoss.
Yeah, Boss Hog, right?
Yes.
Boss Hog.
Boss Hoss is the chainsaw, right?
Yeah, I think
What's the big chainsaw? You know what I'm talking about? There's a oh man. Well,
is
I'm not going to look it up.
Haus? Yeah, don't look it up. It'll cancel the podcast. I was recording last week. Well, actually, I was recording Friday, and today it's Sunday, so I'm recording back-to-back episodes, really. But with Ty from Shock the Fox, and I clicked over from one side to the other, and all of a sudden, everything just blacked out on me. My whole browser went down right in the middle of the podcast.
Oof. That's why you told me to open a new Chrome, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It gets a little finicky.
Oh, it's cool though. I mean, this is a neat setup, and so I've been on 2 podcasts. One was the Military Makers. I don't think they're doing it anymore because I haven't seen anything from them. Great guys. It was a lot of fun. The second podcast was actually an education one, and they sent me all the questions beforehand. And then I had to give them the written question, my basic answers. They approved it, and then basically I just acted like I was talking into a voice memo and sent it to them, and then they edited the podcast.
Really? That's strange.
Yes, it was very different.
Yeah, I used to be very structured in the podcast. Like I used to have a list of questions of things that I wanted to cover. And then I found out, like, yeah, you can't record for 2 hours because I would want to hit all the questions. Very type A, want to hit every single question. So now I just do it kind of loose. Actually, Tiff Marchand, I was on her podcast, Maker Conversations.
Okay.
And she's just like no script whatsoever. She just turned the camera on and we just started talking. And I was like, cool. So you don't have any like, I mean, she does a little bit of prep and stuff like that, but she's just like, yeah, wherever the conversation goes. So after that episode, I was like, I'm going to try that. So I tried that. And I mean, I have some generic questions of things, that I want to talk about, but, I found it saves me a ton more time and it's more authentic to have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Cause I just list out all my questions and then you can respond to them and then.
Oh, it's the Maker's Lounge, right? We're sitting in a lounge.
That's right. You got your cocktail?
Different parts, yeah.
I have water because I've found that I'm not a very good host if I have too much of a cocktail.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
I really think the lizard people live under Denver. I'm just saying.
You with me? You feel me?
You start busting out cigarettes. You're like, I haven't even smoked in 20 years.
Yeah, I would not get to read out the Patreon members at the end of the episode.
Who names their kid this? What name is this? Maybe that's a part we should edit out.
Oh, we're keeping that in. No names were given in this.
That's right.
Well, now when I read it out at the end of the episode, I'm gonna be chuckling.
Who named their kid Brent Jarvis? Brent, Cleancut Woodworks. What are you doing? It's my guy right there. I love him.
Yeah, he's awesome. I talk about him a lot.
Yeah,
he's the kind of guy that would give the shirt off his back. I mean, he just a genuine person.
Yes,
and interesting as heck.
I really I was hoping this year. So we had talked last year. I went to Maker Camp. I don't know if you know about that, the Jimmy DeResta camp. Yeah. So I went this past year, my daughter and I drove there on Sunday. We couldn't go on Saturday, so we drove. And it was actually a really great time with her. I had a lot of fun. But Brent was there and we talked, and I had already been talking to him beforehand. And he had said he was going to be there this year. And he's like, I said, hey, let me set up with you. Let me work it. But he decided he wasn't going to do it this year, which is very disappointing to me because I was really looking forward to.
Yeah.
I prefer to have a reason for doing things. I don't like to just go somewhere just to go and stand around.
Right.
Because then I tend to, I don't want to say I'm flighty, but I get bored with watch. I'm like, all right, this is taking too long. They're not moving along fast enough. I'm going to go over there.
Right.
And then I go over there, and by the time I come back to watch whatever, everything's gone. And I'm like, son of a God, I should have left. So it's always better for me when I actually have a specific thing to do, because then I can do that very well.
That probably goes back to your Navy days, right? Like having to have a task to do.
Yes and no. I don't know what it goes back to. So my parents growing up, they were in a community theater. And from the time I was little, I was involved in doing stuff, for the stage and doing stuff until I got into my early teens, and then sports, all sorts of stuff. So we just didn't have time for that. And then, I don't know. So, and interesting. I was just, it's not, I'm trying to figure out how to say it without saying.
That's okay. I'm just impressed you're a thespian.
Yes. That's what she said. I don't, sometimes I'm uncomfortable talking about myself. I don't like to, I feel like sometimes I'm coming across, and this is only since I've gotten older. When I was younger, it never occurred to me. I feel like I'm coming across as bragging or being look at how good I am, but that's not it. And so it makes it difficult. And I did an article recently for Canvas Rebel. I don't even know what it is. It's an online thing. They talk to artists and people, and I'm like, why are you talking to me? I'm not an artist. Like, well, we're talking to people and blah, blah. I was like, all right. So they asked me questions. We did a little article. And one of the things I talked about was this realization that I had. And honestly, at 50 years old, I just sort of came to this realization. First, I used to think that I was an idea man. I was like, oh yeah, tell me your problem. I'll solve it for you. And
right.
And as I got married, I realized I'm not an idea man. I'm the person spouting things. And my wife says, I don't want to hear that. That's not what I need. So I'm not so much an idea man as I like to, I make things. That's honestly like,
yeah.
And I'm sure you've been there. Like,
oh yeah.
Right. Well, you wake up in the morning, like an hour before you're supposed to get up, and you're like, okay, so that's how I'm going to make this. That's what I'm going to do next. And so I think, like, your question of, is that when it started? No, I like to make things. I feel the need to make things and sometimes make them right. So
yeah,
I don't know. What the hell do I know?
So when you go to these, like, do you do like Workbench Con, or do you like the different AFPM?
I have not. No, I have not gone to anything. I wanted to go to Workbench this past year, but it was definitely too late. A lot of money. I'm going to go this coming year. I've never gone to any of this stuff. I really wanted to, but there's nothing real close by, and my kids, between my wife and I working, and for a long time she worked weekend contracts, so she only worked weekends, which meant I was dad on the weekends, and I mean I was dad all the time because they called me that all the time, but I had to be extra dad.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm excited. I'm going to Workbench this coming year.
Okay.
And this would be really cool. I might be able to go to the, what is it? American Woodworker, whatever's going on. What is it called right now?
AWFS.
Okay. So I'm allowed to talk about this now because this podcast won't come out until after this coming Tuesday. when there's a company that is launching called We CNC that Ethan Abramson and Jared Dosty, and they're doing this business where they're taking people's ideas, and it's my idea.
Yeah.
They're going to make it, have it stocked, and sell it. So they did all the CAD programming. They're doing that. And their idea is, and I think this is a brilliant idea because I know that you've thought of this as well. They're just, hey, you know what? Someone says, I have this idea. I think this would sell.
Right.
So you contact them. They basically run through it, figure out how to make it, and try to sell it. So right now they've got a couple makers on. There's me, Ramon Valdez, Jess Crow's on there, Izzy, first name, Beyonce, Izzy, same type thing. And there's a couple other big names. Dave, 3D
DIY.
Yeah, I can never remember how many D's there are.
Right. The big D. That's all you have to remember.
So there's a couple people who they're going to be making stuff and they're going to sell it through their website. So for me, like one of the things is actually it's up there, I think behind me. Yeah, you can't see it. My little trim router sled that you put on the tabletop that I made for trimming up epoxy boards or end grain boards instead of trying to send them through a planer.
Right.
So they're going to make that. And that's one of my first products that they're putting out. They're going to make it. They're going to sell a universal base plate for trim routers. So you will be able to put your trim router on to this base plate. And so I don't have to make it. Cool. I don't have to buy the materials. I don't have to sell it. I don't have to ship it. They're doing everything. And I'm super excited about it. So they are going live with the whole thing this week. And actually Ethan is there. He's going to be the one doing it.
Right.
And so it's just really like,
this
awesome. Is one of those things. Yeah. This is one of those things you go, that'll never happen.
Right.
And then, you get a phone call and you go, oh my gosh,
it's happening.
This is the big time.
It's happening.
Ever since I dropped those blocks on my head, this is what I've dreamed of.
The cinder block bookshelf.
I fell on my toe. I needed my boots then.
Right.
So
safety,
it's just,
safety first.
It's really, exactly. It's just really exciting to but I have to be realistic. Okay. Right. I want these to sell.
Is it going to be 10 or is it going to be 10,000?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a good idea, and I know a lot of people who have said, I would, do you have plans for that? I don't have plans for anything because that takes so much.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do the YouTubes. Like, I just.
Oh, me either. Yeah, me either. It's hit or miss. Hit or miss. You and I have talked about that kind of offline a lot. Just, something hits, something doesn't hit, and there's no rhyme or reason why it hits or doesn't hit.
It is a ton of time, and the commitment to not only shoot the video but edit it. And I did a video that took I think it was 11 minutes long, and it took me at least that many hours.
Yeah. I feel like for a 15-minute video, I'm putting in like 40 hours worth of editing, and that's stupid because then when you watch other people and it's like one shot and it's just them talking and maybe showing some things, right? Like, here's 5 tools that you need in the shop. And they're just like talking about, oh, you need these drills, you need this, you need that. And that video, I mean, they may have, 10,000 subs or something like that, but that video goes like 200, 300, 400,000 views in like weeks. And it's like, I've always been told, oh, you got to do some B-roll, you got to show instead of tell. And it just doesn't pan out for me.
Here's my frustration right now on YouTube. I have 16.3 thousand, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not monetized because all I have that have gotten the views and the subs are shorts. Like any of my longer videos, I have one longer video that had 11,000. Any of my other ones, like, and one that and this is what really bugged me and blows me away. The joint that I made, everybody knows what I'm talking about. I had that one joint that had like 25 million views.
Right. You're like, name this joint.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, everybody loves this. Yeah. I'm getting all sorts of people coming up. I got to make a video of this, how I made it. So I made the video. I did everything, right? Showed them. People are like, oh, you should do it in contrasting woods. Perfect. I'll do maple and walnut because I always love that combination. By the way, it's still sitting over there. And, you know, after I made it for this video, the video got like 1,100 views, 1,400. I'm like, what's the point?
Right.
It's just.
Yeah, I just did the video for X Tool, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm putting so much work into this, and it's probably going to get, 1,500 views. And
you got
that
actually
it took
47? Off. Yeah. 47,
I think it's like 55 or something like that now.
Nice. It was a great video.
Like the ones you don't think are going to do well.
Here's my problem with it, and I hate you for this. I went to Hobby Lobby, the Devil's store. I went there because as a Jewish man, but I did. I went into Hobby Lobby. I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea. And I went and I bought a bunch of stuff, and I got a couple things from there. And I'm like, this is perfect. A couple of these. Now I just got to figure out what to do with them. But they're little like mini charcuterie boards, only probably total 5 inches long with like
$7-8.
Not even that. They were like $2-3. And so I got 5 of those. But I just got to figure out something good to engrave on them to make it worthwhile.
I was thinking about, like, everybody's done an unboxing video. Everybody's talked about how to assemble. Everybody's done, here's 10 things you can make with it and stuff like that. And I'm like, how about you just assemble a thing and go to the store and pick up things that are ready to engrave? I'm like, maybe that's a good spin. And, I guess it was a good spin. It worked.
It was great. I enjoyed it. I was like, that is a great idea. So I went and I picked up some stuff. My video that I did for it, and it's the same thing. I did a putting together video. I did, a couple of things, and I'm like, well, I'll do I sort of feel like it's my signature now, although I don't know if you saw my post. I know you haven't been on Instagram very much, but I posted about it. I'll talk about it in a second. But so I did the whole video, the whole unboxing. I put it together, and I thought I'll talk about how much I liked it because it was easy to put together. And then I was like, no, I want to make this box. And so I just posted about it yesterday, and I made. So I might try to make this. I might actually do this. I made out of walnut plywood a little flip top box. I bought the file off Etsy, and I engraved I cut out a red cross, a cross on the front, and I put red behind it, but you didn't see the red until I closed it. So inside I put some paper towels and electrical tape, and I closed it, and I said, I finally made myself a first aid box. And somebody says, well, nice. That's a Band-Aid. That's a Band-Aid box. I'm like,
Band-Aid.
Yes. So now what I want to do is I want to make a couple and do Band-Aid box with the first aid, and I'll have it in red and sell it with just paper towels and electrical tape. Oh, it made me laugh so much. But so I posted. That was the other thing. Like, I don't use duct tape for it. I use duct tape if I have splinters that I can't find. But the duct tape to me, because I think I wrapped the electrical tape too tight anyway. I'm like, can't have any blood dripping out on my project.
My finger's purple.
Yes, right. I'm like, I can't have that any more of it drop out and get more DNA on this. I swear to God, if anybody were to ever want to check to make sure if any project is mine, they would just need to like swab it for DNA, and somewhere on it they're going to find my blood and my DNA. Oh, yep, Logan made this. Yeah. There's definitely.
Someday a detective is going to reach out to you and say, where were you the night of we found a blunt object, a table leg with your DNA on it.
Was it under the finish or on top of it? That's what I need to know. If it was on top of the finish, I've never seen you before. If it's underneath it, yes, I made that table. Would you like one?
Right. Here's my card.
Yes.
Or a sticker.
I'll do a sticker swap with the officer. Oh my God, I'm terrible at sticker swaps. So I had a video. Okay, so I like to draw a line on my table saw. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I don't do it often all the time, but every now and then
I did see
I'll
that
draw
one.
a line.
Yeah.
So it's a helpful way to. Oh my God! Like I was cutting dados the other day. From behind, I didn't have to line up and look over and figure out. I could just stand there and see where the blade was going to hit on it. So it made it nice and easy. So I posted about it, and I like to think now, I learned a while back that doing audio and talking about what I'm doing seems to be a much better way for people. It's much better for me and the people who are watching my videos than when I did music. And I started off doing like the words with music. And then one time I talked and I was like, oh, people seem to like this. And then I went back to the music and I was like, oh, people didn't seem to like that. Yeah, I'll do music some more. Until you finally, you're like, oh, wait, now I see what's happening. So,
right.
But what's interesting is, and to me, it would seem like TikTok would be the place where people listen because it's all about music and everything.
Right.
The video on Instagram has like, I don't know, 35,000 views, not very many. On TikTok, it's I don't even know, but it's somewhere near 1 million. And the majority of the comments are, that piece is going to fly off and hit you in the face. I'm like, you never saw me cut anything for a reason. I'm not, that's just stupid. Oh, if your table saw is that, your fence is that bad, it's time to get a new, dude, listen to the audio. I'm telling you what's going on.
Right.
Like it just, it blew me away. Oh,
yeah.
So that
most people are watching TikTok while they're on the bus or the train or whatever. They're not, no audio.
Or that other place where they're by themselves.
Well, yeah, that too. Just passing the time.
Yeah.
A deuce used to take 2 minutes and now it takes like 20.
How many videos are you watching? I'll be in there for 10 videos. I promise. That's it.
That's it. I'm cutting myself off.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. But I mean, so many people, like, how many times do you see people walking around with headphones? Like, just
right.
So most of these people are.
I mean, I'll watch a YouTube video as I'm walking from the parking garage to my work. It's basically like, I mean, I got a 10-minute walk basically from the parking garage into my office, and so sometimes I'm like, oh, there was that one video I wanted to check out. Let me check that out. So it's interesting that I'm not on Instagram as much. I just find it. And you've heard me talk about it before on the podcast. It's just uninspiring to me lately. It's just been so much. It's like oversaturated advertising kind of stuff, which I'm guilty of as well. But it's like everybody's got a new thing that they want to show, a new toy that they want to show off or whatever. So, I mean, there's good things and bad things about that. But for me, I'm just kind of taking like a mental break from Instagram.
Well, the other thing
call it a mini boycott, I guess.
No, I mean, I understand you have mentioned that, and it makes sense. It gets difficult. I think, it can be repetitive. Okay, so one thing, and I posted this as a story one day. What I found really irritating is I did listen one day. I had music on because normally I don't. I turn off the sound, and if somebody looks like they're talking, or if I can't tell what's going on, I'll turn it up to see if there's someone talking. I always read the comments too, but I scrolled through and it was the same 3 sounds just over and over. Everybody was using those same 3 sounds. You're like, oh my God, I cannot deal with this stupid sound anymore. It gets irritating. But the other thing you talked about a couple of times, and you and the other people we've talked to, was how some people seem to post the same stuff every 2 weeks.
Right.
So that gets difficult as well. Whenever you feel like I just saw this. Right. That's really difficult. I make a conscious effort. On Thursdays I'll do a Throwback Thursday often, but it's usually like at least 6 months, if not more. And I really try not to do that because it's
throwing it back to last week when I posted this video.
You're like, okay. It's tough.
Yeah.
And
Flashback Friday. It's the last Friday.
I did have somebody say they were posting the same video over and over again to see what happened. And they were, I think it was on TikTok, and they had like different views, different numbers of views on the video each time.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard to know what's going to be served up. Like the talking stuff does do well for you, and it's a good way to illustrate what's going on, what you're doing, because you do some more complex things like jigs and stuff. I know, like Steve making at home, he does the same kind of thing, a talking voiceover deal. Pete Squared does that. So and that format does seem to do really well, and that's actually what I liked about Instagram when I first started, was there was more of that. It was more like you're learning how to do something, but now it's more like it's like entertainment kind of thing. And I don't know, I mean, if I'm going to go for like entertainment, I'm going to go to Netflix or YouTube sometimes.
So for me, number one, there's two things here. Number one is that I have been on Instagram, believe it or not, since 2016. I have been posting stuff. I started, I had the single picture. You were allowed to post a single picture, and then it was multiple pictures. Oh, yeah. And then, and then we got to videos that you could post a couple, So I've been on IGTV a long time. Yeah. Oh God, I hated that. I posted like on there, I think probably 6 times. I was like, this is just dumb.
Yeah.
And, the thing is, I was posting pictures mostly of what I was working on. And I actually, I was asked, so this was kind of really cool. Last year, a local woodworking community, the local one said, hey, we went to this guy who runs this business and asked him if he wanted to come in and present something. And he said, I don't feel comfortable doing it, but you should talk to Logan Newman. He's doing great stuff. So they came to me and I said, listen, and I fully believe this. So I'm going to say this, and this, I believe this with all my being. I'll say a slightly above average woodworker. Like I'm not doing anything different.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, but I'm not doing anything different than 90% of the people. I'm not special. Like I said to him, I can't come in. There's nothing I'm going to show you that these guys aren't already doing in their shop. There's no point for me to present. What I can do is I can come in and talk about what I think has made a difference in my videos and why I'm doing better on social media than I was in the past. And the biggest thing that I had noticed, and for me, the biggest change I made is I switched from showing pictures of what I was working on. I switched from showing pictures of what I was working on to showing how I was doing it, to what I was doing. And I realized I'm a teacher. I really do enjoy teaching. When I had to, so I'm taking a step back. I started off like I was an optician in the Navy. I did not want to be an optician, but the Navy needed me to be an optician. So I was going to go to optometry school. I went to college. I got my bachelor's in science. I went to college. I got my bachelor's in science. I was accepted into an optometry school, but I had to take another science class. But I had already sort of realized I don't want to be an optometrist. It just did not seem like fun to me. Better number 1, better number 2, better number 2, better number 3. Is this better? Is this better? Can you see now? Right? I was like, this is just, I don't know about this. Right. So a friend of mine said, you should go become a teacher. I was like, no, because all I'll do is play with the kids. You know how I am. I'm just going to play. They're like, you'll be a great teacher. So I went back and I started getting education stuff. And it wasn't until I did my student teaching that I realized I loved teaching. Like it wasn't the education classes. It wasn't any of that crap. It was actually interacting with kids. I realized that I could have a plan. I could be creative in making up lessons for the kids. I could get the kids involved in this stuff. I could have these relationships with kids, right? It was so much fun. And I realized that I like teaching people how to do things. So when I recognized that within what I was doing and said, okay, I'm better off I am better off teaching people woodworking and some ideas and stuff and showing how I do things than I am just showing what I build. Because again, everybody's building something, and 90% of my stuff is not that different. 80% of my stuff. I'll give myself 80%.
Yeah. Yeah. Meaning 20% is out of this world.
Well, like I have my tabnet, which I call the tabnet. Do you remember that? I don't know if it's my, yeah. Right. So I've never seen anybody else make anything like that. I had a similar one that actually folded down from the wall. The bottom of the table, it's framed. So the bottom of the table was a picture. You fold the table down and the frame unfolds to become the legs. And then I had a rustic top. I actually did really neat boards, and I used weather wash, which I love the stuff. I haven't used it in forever. And then did a great top. And then the frame was still on the wall, and there was still a picture within it. So there was a different picture on the wall.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. And I had to do all this stuff so that the legs had to unfold, because the picture sat at like whatever distance high, and you had to make it so that the legs, and I don't know.
Right.
It was really cool. So it's stuff that I haven't seen other people do. I mean, I'm no Ramon, but no one is.
But you do a lot of you do a lot of like different jigs and stuff like that. How do you determine? I'm always interested when people make jigs for things. When do you determine whether or not to make a jig? Is it you're going to be doing things multiple times, or you think you're going to be doing things again in the future, so you want to make a jig for it? Like, tell me about the process for that. Is it like, are you seeing other people do those jigs? And
no, it's not that I've seen other people. The answer to your questions is yes. That's when I decide to do it. It's so there are times that I've come up with things like a perfect example is a Jefferson book stand, which Flashback Friday I posted. I posted about it a couple weeks ago. I might have posted about it on Friday, or I was thinking about it, but and I actually made numbers 18 and 19 of those for me. Those were, and I think they were my best ones. And I made, as I was making numbers 18 and 19, I made another jig to help me make it. And this was a new jig. Like I've done this one part of this. So it was, part of it was doing the hinges. Okay. So you figure each one of those, I've done 19 of them. Each one of them has 8 hinges going around. So whatever, 8 times, right? So at this point is when I went, oh, this would really make this much easier. So this time I did it, and now I have this jig. I have like a little space over here that I have different jigs for that. But then I have other things that as I was getting ready to do it, I'm like, I need to make a jig that is going to do this. And this will be the first time I've done it. Perfect, 100% perfect example. I made my wife, she said to me Sunday, she's like, what do you call that? Orchid. That's what it's called. That was a hard name to remember. We have an orchid in the house, and she needed it to be closer to the window, so she had it sitting on an upside down colander. I'm like, let me just make something. I'll make a little plant stand for it. So I decided I was going to do wedged dowels. I've never done a wedged dowel. Like, it'll be fun. I'll just try something different.
Yeah.
And I have the micro jig match fit system on the front of my bench. I don't have a vise. I use that as my vise. And
yeah, great system.
I have made so many jigs with that. It's just so versatile. So I went to clamp the dowel, and I was like, this is not going to work. So easy thing. I made it quick, simple, cut some grooves on a piece of plywood that it would sit on there, so I could cut the wedge, or the groove that the wedge is going to fit in. So I did it before I started realizing it, as opposed to getting done with it and going, oh, now I should have done this. So, it's so hard, because there's 2 parts to, this is what I always think of with jigs. this is what I always think of when I'm making jigs, is that there's the ones that you have enough experience doing whatever it is that you can understand where you're going to have problems and make a jig for. I've made,
right,
at least dozens of tables. So I know that to round over the corner, it's easier to have a piece already made with a rounded corner that I can put that on there. Right. So I know beforehand I'm going to need a jig for X, Y, or Z. Making my cabinet, the first time I made that, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I literally, the first time I made it was making it for our kitchen. I'm making it up as I go along. And I'm like, right. But now that I'm done with it, I'm like, oh, I need a jig for this. And now I can use a jig for that. And, so it comes down to your experience doing something. And then afterwards, a lot of times being able to say that. On the other hand, I had a friend of mine come to me and go, hey, listen, and I did a video about this. I need to take a 90-degree PVC pipe angle and cut off the edge of it because we're going to make periscopes. He goes, can you make me a jig that the kids can use and make this safely? Because, it's like 1.5 inches on each side, and you're going to go up to a miter saw and try and hold that by hand? No.
Nope, right? Not today.
No. Not any day, right? Yeah. And especially not cutting 70 of those. You're not going to try and do that 70 times by hand. You're losing at least 5 fingers. So, right. So it was nice that he came to me and he's like, hey, how would you do this? And that was honestly a really fun thought experiment because I hadn't done it before, but I knew that we needed a jig in order to do it. So figuring it out was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny to some people will comment if I show a jig and something, they're like, oh yeah, you spent 3 hours doing a jig for a project, something I'll take 5 minutes to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm showing you one. I'm not showing you the 80 that I'm gonna do. Or I want to do this in the future. I don't want to think about it later.
That right there, I think there's 2 parts to it. Number one is I could do it by hand. Like when I do the table tops and I've done the corners and people and I show how, like I sit the piece down, I can trace the circle, the edge of the, what I'm talking about, rounding over the corner edge. So the end. Okay. So
you use a saw, you cut it down and then you round it over
with a router. So and people are like, oh, I could do that in 2 minutes with my belt sander. Yeah, you could, but the corners aren't all going to be uniform. They're not going to look right. You want something that looks good. Make a jig that's going to make not only your life easier, but make it look better. That's
consistent on both sides. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. That was a word I was looking for, but I'm not that smart.
I'm not either. I just know consistency.
But that's the key right there.
But that's it. So are you making a lot of those tabnets?
So I've only made a couple of them. I'm making another one right now. I have all the pieces sitting over here beside me. Part of what I had to clean up today was unclamping those because I want to make plans for them. Everybody, since I posted my first one to TikTok like 1.5 years ago, the first time I posted about it, people have been asking, oh, when are you going to make plans? And sort of like YouTube's. I hate making plans because there's just so much.
Just give me time behind the saw.
Yeah. You get done with it and you're like, shoot, I forgot to say this or I forgot to do that. And that just sucks. I don't know. So anyway,
for me, it's moving the camera. That's frustrating.
Yes. Right. You got this. The angle switches weirdly from one side to the other.
Oh, yeah. 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 You got to show multiple angles.
Do you? I don't know. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, that's what they say.
I mean, yes and no. I don't disagree with it. But it depends on what you're doing. I did something really crazy. I haven't even shown any videos of this yet because I have a feeling this is going to set people off a lot. I took my I don't know if I'm allowed to say the U word when it comes down to sanders, Mr. Surf Prep. But I took the cords for my I know, but I took the cords for my sanders because I made myself this whole little station so that I could control the vacuum hose. Well, I started off with Festool, and what's great about Festool is that all the machines, you have one plug and you can switch it between the machines.
Yeah.
Every other machine you have has a different cord, or has they're all corded. They all have their own cord. So the problem is that all these cords are long and they're hanging all over the place. So I just went the other day and I cut the cord at about 3 feet, 2.5 feet. And I put on new plugs on the end of all of them, including my Festool cord. And then I have another cord plugged in, so I can just switch every machine. So when I was filming it, I filmed it all from one angle. Yes. Well, that's the thing. Like I'm using one hose, and it was it just drove me nuts every time. Like, especially since I got the 3x4 sander, everything was getting. You move one thing and you knock the other one off. I'm like, this was supposed to be helpful. It's worse. So now it's clean. It looks great. It makes me happy. But I filmed it all from like one camera point looking down. Yeah. And as I was getting through to the last one, because I did a couple cords, I was like, oh, this is just going to be a bad angle. Let me try one more time. So I changed the angle. And then when I went through and I edited it, because again, I'm editing for 30 to 40 seconds. Although in this case, I think I might be over that. But I went just all with the one angle from when I was like, oh, I better switch the angle. So you're right. You're right, sir. Well, I'm wrong.
Now you're starting to sound like my wife.
You ever, hey, did you see Happy Gilmore?
Yeah, a long time ago. So I'm not, I wouldn't be able to quote it.
No, but there's this scene, and it always comes to my mind whenever I say this stuff, and my wife gets annoyed with me. She's like, stop it. Nobody knows what you're talking about. When he is apologizing to Apollo Creed, or whatever his name is in the movie, and he says, I'm sorry, you were right, I was wrong. You are very tall, and I am very short. You are smart, and I am dumb. You are very good looking, and I am not. He goes, all right, let me stop you right there. And that's what I always come back to is I do that. My wife's like, nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. Stop it. Like, that's the funniest scene.
You picked the most obscure scene that nobody remembers.
Well, I could quote Boondock Saints, but nobody wants to hear me say that.
Oh, why not? We got a diverse audience.
Yeah. God, that was my movie, man. I have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh,
no, I haven't.
Okay.
I'll have to put it on my list.
First time I watched this, I was back at college doing my education stuff and called my buddies at their apartment, and we were all meeting up together, and I called them from Blockbuster. I thought you would appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, look, we're looking through, we're trying to find a movie. I'm like, all right, what should I rent? I said, here's this one. And I read the back of it. They're like, yeah, just do that. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we get back and we start watching Boondock Saints. And at one point, I'm like, holy crap, this movie has everything but river dancing. This is the most amazing movie. And at that exact moment, Willem Dafoe starts river dancing. And we all just stopped and looked at each other. Yes, it was the funniest moment.
You hit the trifecta.
Yes, and it's such a great movie. We used to quote this movie. When I got married, these guys were all my best men. I wrote to Troy Duffy, the author, the director, and I said, listen, I'm getting married. This is our favorite movie. Would you mind just, writing their names in a script? I'm going to buy a script. I'd like to get one for each of my guys. Excuse me. I said, I'd like to get one for each of my guys. And he sent me a thing for each of them, but on my best man's, he had a toast to me. And he says, he's like, you got to read this out at the wedding. And it was amazing.
That's cool. Yeah, just looked it up. 1999, Boondock Saints.
Willem Dafoe.
All right.
Couple.
Yeah.
A couple of those guys got
good
big.
cast.
Yeah. Oh, it's a fantastic. It's fun. You can't watch it with the kids. Just let me know.
Yeah. I don't watch a lot of movies with them around.
No. And like as with anything else, the second movie is not. The guy who the writer and director burned a lot of bridges for himself in Hollywood, so is what it is.
Gotcha. Looks like they got a guy named Bob Marley in the cast.
Mm-hmm. Irish
Not
cop.
the Bob Marley.
No, he's an Irish cop.
Yeah. So are you doing a lot of website sales or like Etsy or selling different things like that other than the thing that you're getting ready to launch through the CNC guys?
I don't do a whole lot of Etsy sales. It was really weird for me. I got an order for one of my Jefferson book stands, and that was the first one I'd sold in a year. And then I got an order. The guy contacted me about a cabinet, and he wanted it out of plywood, and we talked about stuff. And then, like 2 days later, I got another order for another Jefferson book stand. So I was sort of like, what I don't like about Etsy, besides the fact that they take so much of your sale, right? These are not cheap items.
You end up like $4 at the end of it.
Right. At one point, I called them because I said, why are you taking out this much for advertising? And apparently they said, well, you signed up for external advertising. I said, no, I didn't. So thankfully they refunded the money to me, but that was like $150. By the time I got the money for what I was building, it wouldn't have been enough to build it. I was it blew me away. So anyway, so I don't do a whole lot of sales, and that's fine because, like I said, when I got those, it really, I don't like the pressure. Like, you're on a timeline. It's supposed to be shipped by this date. And I was actually 2 weeks behind on shipping that out for that woman for the first one because I couldn't do it. We went to New York City for a bat mitzvah. We went, all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, I don't have a time working full time and doing that. So thankfully I don't. Most of the people I do are, local commission pieces. And right now I'm backed up.
Yeah. I don't like that pressure. Cause then when something happens, something doesn't go right, a machine breaks or something like that. Then what do? You got to write a note and say, hey, sorry, I can't make the shipping deadline. And it hurts your credibility.
Yep. Well, I come back to you with the cabinets, the family that you were making the kitchen cabinets for. Like that's a lot of pressure. And, a year and a half ago, I did a set of built-ins that were 114 inches wide, 108 inches tall, benches, a bench, drawers, doors, like an upper and a lower. Like it was six cabinets, put together to make this whole thing. And, it took me months and months to make it.
Yeah. And you're like, I never want to make another cabinet ever again. If we could just have people pay us just to make whatever we want, that's the dream.
I'd be fine with that. I've got a bunch of pieces of boards, lumber in here that I'm like, oh, this would be a beautiful coffee table. This is a beautiful, such and such, and then I just don't have time to do anything with them.
Right. So you got a few more years left in the corporate job, right?
Education.
In the education, yeah.
Yeah. I have 8 years so I can
retire. A few more years,
so,
and then what's the plan?
So my plan is when I retire at the ripe age of, I think I'll be 58, I am going to probably I'm expecting to spend another couple months in my garage shop, and then I want to rent a larger shop. Hopefully, so my plan is to do woodworking then full-time for about 10 years. I'm giving myself that, so this started off as a hobby, right? And then, you know how it is. It's your hobby, and then your hobby becomes a business. And some people, I love the people that go full time with it. What I don't like and what I don't want to deal with is the hustle culture, the worrying about, if I don't get this job, am I going to be able to afford that? And, my other big thing for me personally, I hate the idea of no insurance,
right?
With my family, with my kids, everything. You're like, God forbid I cut off a finger,
right?
And that terrifies me.
Yeah.
So
whip out that Band-Aid box.
Yeah. I'll have that right by me. But, I don't think that, I think the Band-Aid box, I'm only going to have electrical tape and paper towels. If I cut off a finger, I will definitely need duct tape. So I might need to make a bigger one for that. I'm not sure yet.
Band-Aid XL.
I might have to include other things in it. That way you can keep the appendage safe when you take it to the hospital.
Yeah.
Look, I brought it in its own little carrying package.
Now including duct tape.
Perfect. I have you as my commercial when I do that. Yeah. So, I love the people that go and do it full time. I do like my job. What I do, again, no one else is doing what I'm doing. I know of one or two other people who actually do teach high school kids about glasses or eyes, but nobody's doing the combination that I'm doing, where I get eye doctors to volunteer at our school. We run a clinic. So here's the first part. I teach in Rochester, New York, which has the highest per capita poverty rate of all cities of the same size, and it has the fourth highest poverty rate of all large urban areas. So we have a lot of poverty. We have a lot of kids living below poverty level. So glasses, for a lot of different reasons, are not something a lot of these kids have. And as you well know, as someone who wears glasses, oftentimes you don't even know that you need glasses, right? Kids, when they're little, they don't know that they can't see. They think 90% of the time, kids think there's something wrong with them, right? That's why they're not doing as well as everyone else. Well, I'm just stupid. That's why Timmy's able to see read and everything else, and I can't read.
Right.
No, kid, it's because you can't see. But the teacher is the one who might notice that. So, and this brings back the idea of me not being as much of an idea guy as I once thought. How this program actually started was a friend of mine said to me, he goes, "Hey, I got this kid who I noticed in October that he needed glasses. He didn't actually get glasses till February." He goes, "How would you like to create a program where you teach kids to make glasses for other kids?" I'm like, "I love the idea, Paul." His name's Paul. And we've been teaching together 22 years now. I said, "I love the idea." I said, "The problem is nobody's paying for that. They're paying kids to send kids to college. They're not paying to teach them trades." And he goes, "Well, if I can get you money, can you do it?" I said, "Dude, if you get me money, I will make it happen."
Yeah.
And so he wound up being at the right place at the right time. Like 4 years later, he got $65,000. He comes to me and he goes, "I got you the money. Can you develop a program?" So from that, I created a program where I teach kids how to make glasses. I teach kids to work with eye doctors. I teach them to work with patients. They make glasses and dispense them. They run the clinics.
Wow.
So in our best year, we produced about 1,200 pairs of glasses for kids. 200 of those we actually sent down. It was after Hurricane Maria. We sent those down to Puerto Rico. And, I had kids from Puerto Rico who stayed during lunches. They came after school. They did everything they could to help get that going. And it was amazing. Just to this day, I'm blown away by these kids. But no one else is doing it. So when I stop, if I were to stop today, there's nobody to carry this on. There's no other way that this program is going to keep going. So I love my woodworking and I love what I'm doing. But first, I'm getting paid to teach.
Right.
I'm getting paid to teach kids to do this. And I have something that's really important. And it's like, yeah, I could do that. But,
Yeah.
when you think about the scales,
Right.
You know, it's like I'm passionate about both of them. You might have heard that in my voice. I'm a little passionate about getting those kids glasses.
What's going to be cool is when someday one of your past students comes back and says, "Hey, I want to take this over when you bounce out."
Her name is Alejandra Cedeno. She's going to Brockport University. I told her a couple years ago, I said, "You are my retirement plan.
That's awesome.
You will be outstanding at this." I said, "I want you to do this."
Wow.
And she's an optician. She's a licensed optician. So New York State, I think there are 17 states that you have to have a license to be an optician. Other states, the ones that you don't need to be a license, you could literally work at Mr. Tire or Walmart and go, you know what? I think I want to make glasses. I want to help people get fitted for glasses. And you can go in and get a job doing that. And I have seen the results of that. Not that everybody's bad at it, but people
Texas
get on the job training. I don't remember. But in Pennsylvania is, and my parents live in Pennsylvania. And my mother, every pair, she wears bifocals, and every pair of glasses she's had issues with. She got my sister got progressives, and they have to set the optical center of the lens at a very specific point. If you don't, it doesn't work as well.
Right.
So if you're not trained in how to actually do that, you're going to screw up. So my sister's glasses are screwed up. My mom...
Does she walk around like high stepping because she thinks the steps are higher than they really are?
They're too low, so she can't read through them. So in order for her to read, she has to tilt her head like way back. So it's like everybody's looking at her nose when she's on a camera or something. So
if I tilt my head way back, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna be out.
So it's really cool. I have a couple of kids who have gone on that are licensed and doing this. One of my former students, is a manager at one of the optical stores. They're hiring some of my other students. So it is really cool to see when I started teaching, when I was doing education classes, I'll never forget this guy, Dr. John McDermott. He was our professor. And okay, you can picture this, right? He stood up there, round guy, tweed jacket, right? He would pull the Kleenex out of his pocket, blow his nose as he was talking, dig up there, and then put it back in the pocket. And
right.
You're like,
saving that for later. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have just turned around or something. So, and then he had this binder, and he would turn the binder, and you could hear the pages in the back crinkling. And he would say things like, "Don't use the same lesson every year." Crinkle, 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 as he turns the page, right? And one of the things he said was, be happy, really be happy if you touch one student's life, or, one student in your career. You really change one student's life in your entire career. And I can honestly say that I don't think there's been a year that I have not felt I've made a serious impact on somebody's life. Both from getting them glasses and from the kids going on and doing this. And,
right.
I had one student, again, not woodworking or anything, but this really meant a lot.
Hey, this is the Maker Lounge pod. You're making glasses, so
I am. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. So this girl, Amina Hassan, the family came over from the Mideast. She got a full ride to the University of Rochester, which is a really, it's a good, prestigious school. And they announced it over the email and, speaker, and they congratulated her. She got a full ride, not having to pay anything. And I saw her in the hallway, and I looked at her. I was like, yeah, it's because of me. Rubbing my shirt, my hand, like, yeah, that's all me. She goes, actually, Mr. Newman, it was because of you. She goes, yeah, I asked you to write a letter of recommendation. And in it, you talked about the vision care program and what we did in there and how I was a part of it. And they specifically brought it up during the interview. They said, we love that you were invested in your community. You're invested in giving back.
Yeah.
You really want to see people besides yourself do well. She said that's what they said they are looking for in the scholarship program that they were, giving to me. So it was because of you and your program.
You're like, well, now I feel like crap.
Yeah, I was like, oh, hey, nice.
Sort of.
High five me, yes.
Go me.
Oh, I'm so great. It was just, it's nice to know that what you did had an impact.
Right.
So, and then, coming back to woodworking, I really do. It's tough because I have found that I really, really enjoy the educational component, getting people who say to me, so I talked about the video, I talked about the negative feedback I got on my TikTok video.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who just didn't listen. And I posted on Instagram, I said, oh yeah, this video got a lot of feedback, negative feedback. I said, I appreciate everyone on here who listened to it and knew what I was doing. And I got a couple of those comments, and every now and then I'll get the DM saying, listen, I really appreciate what you're teaching. I appreciate the stuff I've learned from you. A couple people said, I've used that trick since I learned it from you, and it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm paraphrasing, but the idea being that
it changed my life.
Yes.
It was a game changer.
Yes. Be happy if you touch one woodworker. Wait, no, that's not right.
Whoa.
Let's go to different.
Save that for the after show.
Yes.
Save that for the after show.
So, but it's nice to know that the things I'm passionate about, I'm able to share with others and have it help them.
Right.
And that's
cool.
what I really have enjoyed the Instagram growth.
It's evident in what I see in your stuff, and we've chatted over the years, and I find value in what you post, and every once in a while we'll DM and like, hey, that was really cool what you did or whatever, and what so I know others are finding the same value. You've obviously amassed quite a following on Instagram. How many TikTok?
That still amazes me. Let me tell you something. I've got 177 somewhere around there on TikTok. TikTok was weird. It has its peaks and valleys like Instagram, I guess. But it's only in the last year and a half that I blew up on Instagram. I mean, was it in January, I think, of 2021? I think I had 10,000. I'm not one of those people who their first 6 months or first year, they get 100,000. I wish.
Right.
You see those people and you're like, wow, I'm coming up on 3,000 posts. I see people with 130,000 followers and they've got 800 posts or 80 posts. I'm like, holy crap.
Right.
You must be amazing or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've worked hard and it's really cool to see that has paid off, because I know it doesn't pay off for everybody.
Yeah.
It's the luck of the draw.
Right. Well, I think I want to talk to you a little bit in the after show about some of the brands that you work with and some of that kind of stuff, if you'd like to do that.
Absolutely.
We'll head over to that after show. So thanks for being here and doing the podcast. It was good talking with you.
I had a blast, man. I really appreciate you inviting me on. It means a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Let me give a shout out to our Rockstar patrons. We've got a number of Rockstar patrons. I always shout them out at the end of the episode. So thank you to Jimmy McAnally, Wimm Design, Calvary Customs LLC, Cleancut Woodworking that we talked about.
Yeah, my guy.
Who named that guy? Bailey Thompson, Dave Garcia, Broken Lead Woodworks, Starks Lagoon, Sawyer Design, Kadama Design, Dillon Furniture, Shock to Fox, and Don Patterson. We've got a number of
so many great people.
Great people. Beautiful names. We've got groupies and season ticket holders as well. So if you want to join us over on Patreon, head up to patreon.com/MakerLoungePodcast. And thank you to Surf Prep, the sponsor of this podcast. If you want to place an order with Surf Prep, go to surfprepsanding.com and use Maker Lounge, all one word, for 10% off. Thanks for being here, Logan.
Oh, it's my pleasure, dude. Like I said, so much fun. I've been looking forward to this since you messaged me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I bought a headphone.
Right. We booked this like a month and a half ago.
Yeah. Wait.
All right.
Turn.
After show time.